let's be honest, boys, almost every guy on the planet wants to be charismatic. Even the self-diagnosed introverts want to be charismatic. You know, the few people that they do want to interact with, they want to have charisma, right? They want people to like them, right? We want people to want to be around us, right? To like being around us. And as part of the human need to be social and more importantly, to be liked, right? We want people to love us, right? It's part of everyone's psyche. Now, I've drawn up a little bit of a formula for charisma, right? For gaining charisma, and it can be broken down into 4 main categories, right? The first one has to do with your identity. The second one is inspiration. The third one is practice. And then the fourth one is book knowledge, right? Now, the identity thing I'm going to speak on in a different video because it's very deep, right? It's as simple as saying, oh, you need to view yourself as the type of person who is like this, and you can apply that in any area of your life, right? I'm the type of person that does this, I'm the type of person that does that. You sort of create a character of who you want to be, but it goes a lot deeper than that, right? Like, you need to actually do like the proper work, right? And the main thing is that you do it through this visualization, but I'll go through that in another video. In this video, I'm going to focus on the other 3 aspects, right? So the first one is, well, the second one, but of the 3 in this video, it's the first one. The first one is inspiration, right? Go onto YouTube, right? Find your favorite characters, right? You probably don't even need to do that. You can probably think of like a couple off the top of your head, right? You've watched like James Bond, or Tommy Shelby, or Harvey Specter. For me, those like 3 that I look at. I'm like, I want to be like charismatic like that. Whoever it is, right? But one thing you will notice is that there are many different types of charisma, right? You can go onto YouTube, right? You can go search on I'm sure you've seen the channel called Charisma on Command, right? They have a lot of like analysis and all of that, and those are cool. Like, you can watch some of those videos just to get an idea, a lay of the land. It's kind of like when you're trying to learn a new sport, right? Like for me, when I was learning football, right? I go and I watch like Neymar videos or whatever it is, and I'm learning skills, and I go and I try to replicate them, right? But the actual skill comes from the practice, not from watching. The watching sort of gives you an idea of the direction you want to go into, but the actual skill is built from practicing, and that goes for almost anything in life, right? So going back to like the inspiration thing, just go watch some videos. Go watch some videos of who you want to be. Maybe watch like some analysis and see what it is that makes them charismatic. You can learn like the basics, right? Of like, oh, you want to have like an open body language, you want to have good posture, you want to speak slower, right? You want to sound like more assured in how you speak, right? Like little things like the inflections at the end of your sentence to make it sound like you're saying a statement rather than like you're asking. An example would be like, oh, we're going to go to the mall versus, oh, we're going to go to the mall, right? Like it's different. It's got one's got a different level of conviction than the other one. The other one is asking, the other one is saying, right? Just things like that. Like, those are like nice little things you can learn, right? You can, in the analogy I use about learning football, you can that's you watching videos and learning like a skill, right? But then you need to go and put it into practice. But those things are very useful, so that's why you need to go watch some videos, get some inspiration. But one thing you will realize, and one thing I have realized just watching like all these videos, even on self-improvement and anything in general, is you'll realize that there are many different types of people, right? As humans, we can be broken up into many different categories. It's not just one. There's not just one way. But I'm sure for you, you kind of have an idea of the direction you want to be in, right? Like for me, I've always wanted like I remember when I was watching like Kevin Samuel's videos, they're like different archetypes for men. I think the one I picked was like refined masculine. So there's refined masculine, there's rugged, and then I forgot the other ones because then those didn't fit what I wanted. For me, I knew I wanted like the refined one. The refined is like the classy guy. You wear suits, you dress nicely, your speech is like pretty good, like you're charismatic. Your speech is clean, like you don't swear and things like that. You kind of have an idea of which direction you want to go, and this can also be it can be directed by the type of people you want to watch, right? Like I said at the start, I mentioned like James Bond, Harvey Specter, even like Wolf of Wall Street. I've got a Jordan Belfort, right? Like the Leonardo DiCaprio character. You can find inspiration anywhere. It's not too difficult, right? The second part is the practice, right? Like I said, watching the inspirational videos is cool, and you progress a lot more, right? But you need to go in and practice. Practice is the most important thing, right? Apart from obviously, like I said, the first part, which is like your identity. Like identity shifting is everything that will change your life. But apart from that, is practice. You could ignore the book knowledge and the watching like the inspirational videos and just go straight into practice, and you'll be more charismatic than anyone else. Like that's where most of the progress is going to be made. The watching inspirational videos and the book knowledge is simply directing you somewhere and allowing you to like learn quicker, right? Because you're learning from the mistakes of others rather than like your own mistakes, right? But practice is the most important thing. I think this is where people fall off, right? And that goes for anything, right? Picture the person who's trying to start a business, right? And they're like, oh, they're watching videos on how to start a business. They know what they want to do. It's like 6 months later and they're still watching videos. They're like, oh, should I go into drop shipping? Should I go do this? And they know like what they need to be doing, but they're not doing it. Or like someone who's making like a YouTube channel and they're going around commenting people's comment sections, being like, oh, follow whatever, or they're watching other people's self-improvement videos for inspiration. And it's like, bro, just film your videos, post them regularly over a long period of time. You'll get better at it just from doing it, right? And it's the same thing with charisma. You can watch all the charismatic videos you want, but if you don't put yourself in the field, right, of like speaking to people, you'll never improve your social skill, right? So that's the most important thing. And I can give you like steps on like how I started. I've spoken about this before, but it's like progressive overload, right? Just progressively overload. You don't need to start going crazy. I'm not saying go and like give a speech to 500 people just instantly, although that could like help you learn a lot, but you don't have to do that. Just simple things like, oh, when I'm in the car with my Uber driver, like I'll just ask him, oh, how's the day going? How's the job going? How long have you been doing this? Is there anything else like you're doing? And you'll quickly learn. And again, this is where the book knowledge comes in, the third part, which I'm going to give you now. And I think for me, there are like 3 main books I can speak on. The first one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That is an S tier book. I have a list of like S tier books because everyone has like so many books. Like if you want to do habits, there's Atomic Habits and there's like tons of habit books, but the S tier book is Atomic Habits. It's the only habit book you ever need to read. When it comes to social, How to Win Friends and Influence People is it. Like that's your number one. That's all you need if you want to learn how to win friends and influence people, right? So, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Art of Seduction, mainly because there's one of the caricature. No, it's not a caricatures. It's what's the word, man? One of the archetypes. Yes, one of the archetypes is the charismatic, right? So I'll tell you what the notes I took down on that. And then the third one was The Art of Public Speaking. I haven't like finished it, but there was one like line I wrote that I thought would be very useful. And I'll say the first one again, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The most important thing I've learned from that book is ask people questions and let them speak, right? Just let them speak. People love speaking about themselves, right? So yeah, you ask people questions, and you want to ask like open-ended questions, right? You want to give them an opportunity to sort of speak and let things out in the open, so you can sort of figure out what they're saying, right? You ask people questions and you talk about topics they're interested in, right? The main thing, and also from reading The Art of Seduction, well, I was listening to the audiobook, the main thing I learned is simply like the way like a lot of seducers work is that like they listen, like you really, really listen, and not just, oh, I'm asking questions and I'm just letting her ramble on or whatever it is. It's like you're listening to like what she's saying, you listen to what the other person is saying, and you're analyzing them, right? You're listening to what they're saying, you listen to like their tone of their voice, you're looking at like their micro expressions, when they speak about like certain things, there's like a tingle in their eye or whatever it is, and you just by listening and focusing 100% on them and not being worried about you. And that was the number one thing when I was listening to the book in The Art of Seduction, if you're interested in that, is the number one thing is you're completely invested in that person. You enter that person's spirit, right? You see what it's like to be them, and you're completely invested in it. You're not worried about yourself. You're not worried about, oh, how do I look? What do people think of me? I'm like adjusting my hair, or I'm like adjusting, my clothes to see, just because you're so self-conscious, right? And that's a mindset you need to shift. And again, it happens through practice and over time, but it's mainly about like entering that person's spirit and being worried solely about them in every social interaction, right? Because once you do that, first of all, just giving someone all your attention, it's the best thing in the world, right? Because they feel like, oh, this person's really listening to me, like they really care about me, right? That's one. And the second thing is that like when you're listening to someone and you really get to see like what they're talking about, what makes them tick, you know like what they want to talk about, like what they really like and whatever, and you can sort of, okay, you don't have to be manipulative about it, because that's where like these Robert Greene books are kind of like, yeah, you can be manipulative about it if you want to be, but also just being a good friend or just being a good person, you know what they like, you're more conscious about them and what they want, right? That's the main thing you could take away from The Art of Seduction if you want to like go learn about seduction. But I'm going back to what I was speaking about in terms of just being social and like being charismatic and winning friends and influence people, how to win friends and influence people, you listen to what they're saying. You ask open-ended questions, but you ask questions about them, and again, really, really listen to what they're saying. Really look at their micro expressions, right? Like enter their spirit, right? To use Robert Greene's words, literally that. And then you talk about topics they're interested in. Those main two things, you'll never go wrong, right? And then that's the main part of just being, just being someone who's good at speaking to people. And then the other two things that are nice to note is names, right? You should always get the names, right? The name of someone is the most beautiful sound to them, apparently. Like that's just a psychological thing. That like saying someone's name when you're speaking to them makes all the difference, right? So you want to make sure you get their name, and you don't want to get it wrong, because it has the opposite effect. Getting someone's name wrong has like the opposite effect of of speaking or mentioning someone's name all the time, right? So when you speak to them, you want to get their name pretty quickly, and then you want to mention it. Like when you speak to them, just say it when you can. Make it natural, of course. Don't say it in every damn sentence, right? But just make it sound proper, right? Like just insert it where you can, just to say their name. It just creates this feeling of endearment. It's a nice little thing just to know. And then another one was a smile, right? I've written notes on it, but I don't remember. I just remember that smiling is good. Smiling when you can. So names and smiling, they're pretty good when you can. But the main thing is you want to enter someone's spirit. You want to listen to what they're saying and ask them questions and speak about topics they're interested in. And then the third book that I was speaking about, The Art of Public Speaking. The one line I had was monotony kills speech. So if you're giving a speech, you're not just reading, right? You're not just reading the words like, oh, I'm just supposed to read them. Like you put emphasis on certain words, right? You put emphasis on those certain words that have like a certain meaning. And yeah, that's just basically it. Don't be monotonous in the way you speak. Speak with vigor. Like just imagine a charismatic person when they're speaking, right? They put in emphasis on specific words. They're not just, just belting off the words, just saying it for saying its sake, right? And this takes me into the point that I learned in The Art of Seduction, the charismatic, who is one of the archetypes, right? One of the archetypes of seducers was the charismatic guy. The charismatic, basically, they just radiate so much confidence and intensity that people want to be around them, right? They want to be around them because they just want to gain. They're hoping some of that confidence can rub off of them, right? I spoke earlier on about finding people you're inspired by, right? Like I said, James Bond, Tommy Shelby, Harvey Specter, mainly Harvey Specter and Tommy Shelby, right? When I watch them, it's like you see how they act in certain situations, how confident they are, and when you finish watching like an episode, you leave feeling like, oh, I'm gonna be like him. I'm gonna have like this sort of confidence, right? It gives you inspiration, right? Or going to like football, right? You watch someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, like just motivational videos, right? You're hoping that some of that is rubbing off on you. The charismatic is a walking motivational video, right? They are a walking motivational video. You speak to them, whatever it is, everyone wants to be around you because you radiate so much confidence and intensity. And now the question is how you do this is you need to have like a purpose. You need to have like something you're so wholeheartedly like fixated on. You need to find your purpose, find something you're fixated on, and when you speak about that, you really truly believe in your vision. Like you really and truly believe in it. Now I will say I took down like quite a lot of notes on this when I was listening to the Art of Seduction audiobook, but I don't quite know like deep enough to be able to carry on going into this about the charismatic. But I'm just sharing with you like what I learned about the charismatic is that they're basically just they're driven. They're really, really driven, right? And it's exuded in the way they speak. When they speak, like people just want to be around them because of that, and that's the charismatic. So that was the third point. That was the book knowledge. So just to like round up everything I said, there are mainly like 4 components. The first one is an identity shift, which I'll get into in a different video because it encompasses like self-improvement in your whole life in general. It is like the number one self-improvement trick you can do, like completely changing your self-image. It will change everything you do, make everything so much easier, right? It'll make it feel like instead of feeling like you're swimming upstream, like trying to do the good habits, it'll feel like you're swimming downstream because it's consistent with who you are, and your brain will always make you act consistent with who you are. But I'll get into that in a different video. The second one is just watch some videos for inspiration. Watch like Charisma on Command, the YouTube channel. Watch like analysis and all of that, and just get an idea, right? It's like watching a skills video, like a football video for skills, and then you go out and you practice using what you learned in that video. Which is my third point. You go out and you practice speaking, right? And then the fourth one, which is what I used about the book knowledge, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. S to your book. You need to read that, make a summary, and just do the things. But like I said, the main things is just you want to ask questions. You want to ask questions to people and let them speak. You listen, you get an idea of what they like, whatever, and then you speak about those topics, basically. And you want to like smile, and you want to like use their name, basically. And then Art of Seduction, again, the charismatic is just someone who radiates so much confidence and intensity that everyone wants to be around them, hoping that some of that confidence can rub off of them, right? They are a walking motivational video. And then what I learned in the Art of Public Speaking was just a line of like, monotony kills speech, right? When you speak, you want to put emphasis on certain words. You really want to feel like the sentence you're saying. You're not just saying it just for saying its sake. But yeah, that's it for the video. If you want to be charismatic, put those in. But like I said, if all of this is too much for you, you can always come back and watch. But if you were to take one thing away from this video, practice. Just practice. Practice speaking to people when you can. It's a skill. Charisma is a skill. Like any skill, you need to practice. You need to put it into work. And even if you do gain it, if you use it, you lose it. That sort of thing. You need to keep doing it over and over again. You need to keep practicing. But building it is all about practice. So you want to go out there and speak to people. If you can take away one thing from this video. But yeah, that's it for the video, boys. Make sure you subscribe to join the Self-Improvement Brotherhood. And until next time, see you, boys.